hey, I'd like you to pass the phone to someone with a wrench. Like they wanted to talk to a guy because they didn't realize that I actually knew my.
So you've done over $20 million in product?
Yeah, in revenue, actually over 25 million on Amazon.
Over 25.
Sorry, who's counting, right?
right. Who's counting after $1 million? I don't know. The money's just there.
Welcome back to the Digital Social Hour. I'm your host, Sean Kelly. I'm here with my co-host, Wayne Lewis.
What up, what up?
And our guest today, Melisa Vong. How's it going?
Good. It's good to be here. Good to see you. It's been a hot minute.
Been a while. Like, what, 3 years or so?
No, actually, we saw each other back in, I think it was November when we were in town for Sell and Scale.
Yeah, that Amazon conference.
And you guys came to the Nelly concert.
Nelly?
Got to see Nelly, bro.
Terrible.
You don't like him?
No, I have no problem with Nelly. I'm just not paying to go see him.
I didn't pay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's free, I'll go go network and talk to people. I'm not.
Yeah, it was more of a just he was there kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we hooked you up with some platinum tickets, so.
She did. She saved me $3,000. So, yeah.
Oh, for real? Well,
Yeah.
it was a networking event.
So it was for Sell and Scale. It was a conference with Helium 10. It was their first ever Amazon seller-focused event. And I actually spoke on a panel just before Gary Vaynerchuk. So we got to open up the stage for him. And
Where was this at?
it was just in Vegas.
Oh, was this
Last year, yeah. I forgot about it.
Oh.
What was it like meeting Gary?
It was cool because I was actually backstage after my talk. So I went back and he was waiting there. So he had watched the whole segment. Yeah. And then he actually pulled me aside and he just basically complimented what I was saying and said, hey, like that TikTok thing you said was really great.
Nice.
It was really raw. And like, it was very surreal. It was almost like a full circle moment because he was one of the, biggest people in the marketing space I'd been following for over 10 years. And I saw him speak 10 years prior to that for the first time in Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. And just to, cross paths with him and be able to open up a stage for him, it was just surreal.
Yeah, that is surreal.
So you've done over $20 million in product?
Yeah, in revenue, actually over 25 million on Amazon.
Over 25
Sorry,
million,
who's
correct.
counting, right?
right. Who's counting after $1 million? I don't know. The money's just there. So like, what does that feel like?
It's almost feels unreal. Like
Now, was that 25 in 1 year, or was that over the course?
that was over the course of like 4 or 5 years.
That's still good.
Yeah.
Still insane.
Yeah.
5 a year.
Yeah. So basically just selling on Amazon, it almost feels like a game at this point. Like you see the score kind of going up, like the sales going up and you wake up and you wake up to sales and it's like this crazy experience, just making that residual income.
How does that feel? Because do you feel like there's a lot of women in that space that's like dominating the space, or do you feel like there's a lack there when it comes to Amazon?
There's definitely been a lot more women in selling on Amazon. I think that small business owners who work from home, it's actually, I believe the stat is like over 70% of 6-figure at-home businesses are made by women or run by women. And you can do this from the comfort of your own home. So I think that there's maybe a lack of representation.
Yeah, there is, because it's more so. I feel like the Only Hams is like that's what's being recommended
For women.
Yeah, versus like, Amazon. I mean, you're living walking proof that, you can make $25 million and technically, not to say you don't need a man, because I don't like saying that, but you can have the same success, as, certain men or, whoever you're going after. And it's very well possible for you, So I think that you kind of breaks that, I would say, that whatever stigma around that women aren't getting their just due. They just have to hustle harder, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's with anything. I won't sit here and pretend that, it's harder being a woman, because it's harder in some areas, but oftentimes there's a lot of doors open because I'm a woman. Like I get the opportunity to speak on stages because they need to fill, the slots, and they need to have more representation, whether it's someone who's a minority or a woman or whatever it is. I do get a lot more opportunities because of it, and I'm going to take advantage of it. A woman, so right? Yeah, 100%.
See, so there's always a conversation of lack, right? Of lack, this is what we don't have, this is what we don't make, blah, 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 blah.
You didn't get into business to run payroll, did you? That's okay. I didn't either. Now there's Gusto. Gusto not only offers payroll, but also benefits, onboarding, and HR all in one place to more than 300,000 businesses. Maybe you want federal, state, and local payroll taxes to be filed automatically no matter where your employers work, or maybe you want to offer a 401k plan to help your employees save for retirement. Do you have compliance with regulations? 3 out of 4 employers say Gusto makes it easier to be compliant with the government. With Gusto's simple, guided software and user-friendly interface, payroll and HR are no longer exhausting, they are rewarding. Gusto was built for small businesses from the start. Gusto takes the pain out of payroll benefits and HR and puts the joy back into running your business. Gusto also integrates with your favorite tools like QuickBooks, Xero, Google, and more. Want all this and more with no hidden fees? Try it out for 3 months for free at gusto.com/social. That's gusto.com/social.
Probably the first woman I've heard in a while that talks about the perks of it.
100%. I think people also maybe don't think that you have what it takes as a woman in certain industries. So I actually used to work in the car industry, which was heavily dominated by men.
Yeah.
And, when I would pick up the phone, make sales calls, people would literally tell me, they'd say, hey, I'd like you to pass the phone to someone with a wrench. Like they wanted to talk to a guy because they didn't realize that I actually knew my So I actually had to work harder and study the stats a lot more than maybe, the next guy, but at least I can blow them away with my knowledge. And that's what I had to keep me, competitive in the space and make it happen for me as a female in cars.
Nice. That's solid. So how did you get into Amazon? Were you profiting from the first year, or did it take some time to build up?
So it was just right out of university. I basically was already in the car industry, came out of university with, a bunch of student debt, moved to the big city and thought that there was more opportunity working for a higher level, prestigious, luxury car brand. I started with Nissan and then I got a job in Toronto and I was like, okay, the clientele has deeper pockets. Maybe I'll make more money working at a luxury dealership. And basically my living expenses dramatically increased because you're living in the core city. For those of you who don't know, Toronto is the most expensive city to live in Canada, or one of the most expensive next to Vancouver. So basically had to find a way to supplement my income because I was barely able to pay my rent. And I have expensive taste. I love food. That's what I mean when I like expensive things is I like to spend on food, literally.
I can live with that.
Yeah, I don't usually spend a whole lot of money on shoes and purses or heels or anything like that. I like to spend it on experiences and food. So for me, I had to find a way to make extra money. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be able to stay in the city. So I was looking at different, options to make money online because I'd experienced, I made my first dollar in affiliate marketing online. I was like, this is so cool. I got hooked and I just tried to find different ways that I could make money using the internet with the tools that we have available to us.
And what was that first product that sort of started everything for you?
So we sold an organic castor oil, and it's basically it's an oil that's sourced from castor beans, and it's cold
Did you
pressed.
make it?
So we actually sourced it from overseas.
Okay.
We
So
would buy the oil.
White label?
It was private label.
Private label,
Yeah, private label is a fantastic model because you don't have to purchase, machinery, manufacture your own products or print your own labels. Usually you work with a contract manufacturer who's able to put your branding on the product, and they can even pass down organic certification as well, which is nice. So we did
so
take that
Amazon,
extra
I was going to
step.
say, because Amazon's going to require you to submit some kind of proof that everything is everything. So do they submit that too?
Yeah, so
Okay.
certificates of analysis is
Yeah.
usually what they ask for.
Right.
Anything that goes on your body or in your body,
They're gonna-
because we also sell supplements as well.
Right.
They've actually gotten a lot more strict with those regulations. So you now need what's called an ISO certified certificate of analysis. So that way they know that everything matches the supplement fact panel.
Wow.
Because
People are faking it.
oh
well,
yeah,
no, it's too much of a risk. I mean, you got lawsuits, so
Right.
if she's selling something and I break out, that falls on her, and which
Falls
falls
on
on
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Amazon is even requiring insurance now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Wow.
you make over $10,000 a month consecutively for 3 months, they'll ask you to provide proof of insurance.
So you want to open up your store with that because it's kind of a plus.
Right.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
need
It's not
liability
that
insurance
expensive, yeah.
either
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, it's not that much.
Yeah, I made sure I got it on the pod. We say some pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Don't want anyone suing us for it.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So after the first year, like, what were the numbers like? Were you doing $1 million the first year, or did that take some time?
Yeah, so I actually cracked $1 million in my first year. And then by the second year, I'd made $1 million in profit. I know a lot of people talk about,
They made
revenue
it. Yeah,
numbers,
yeah.
but literally castor oil alone made me $1 million in profit.
Wow.
But then we expanded the catalog. So we went into natural skincare products like serums. We did moisturizers, body oils, that type of thing.
Nice. And you eventually sold one of the brands, right?
We actually sold 2 of our brands to date. So the first one was the botanical skincare company. And then we started a supplement brand called Orphic Nutrition. I co-founded it with my partner, Bryce Alderson. So he used to play soccer for the Vancouver Whitecaps.
Nice.
So with his knowledge in sports nutrition and then my Amazon knowledge, we had basically a business baby.
It's amazing.
And yeah, so then we sold that company. It got acquired 2 years ago by an aggregator in this space. And
Nice.
it was a wild journey.
Yeah, I went to an Amazon conference a few months ago. They were basically saying there's aggregators that just buy up successful Amazon stores
Yeah.
doing like 1 to 5 million, right? And they just combine them all.
Yeah, exactly. They get so much funding. So they now have all this excess money where they want to put it into acquiring brands and then being able to scale them up and basically become a digital Procter and Gamble, right? Like the e-commerce giant of all these
Right.
different
like a JP
household-
Morgan.
Yeah.
Because it's
BlackRock.
cash flow every month for
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
So
for
they're just
sure.
stacking it.
That's a dope business model though.
It is.
It
But
is, but
you're seeing
isn't
that a
it-
lot of them are failing now too. So a lot of them are actually getting acquired by some of the bigger aggregators. So the ones that got a lot of funding, all they knew how to do was buy businesses, but they didn't know how to
scale.
scale them. They didn't
Yeah.
have the infrastructure
They
to do
just
that.
have the money, not the business acumen.
Yeah. I was just going to say it seems risky if you don't know the marketing side.
Well,
at all.
you're supposed to buy it, but then I feel like you're supposed to put her on some kind of
like a payroll
Yeah.
to run it for a couple
Yeah,
years after.
you know,
Did they do that to you?
I'm keeping
Yeah.
her on board. I'm buying it from her and keeping her on payroll. She knows
Yeah.
what she's doing.
Because she's the business.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah, so with the second exit, we actually did have to stay on for 2 years. So we structured it as an earnout.
Yeah.
So we got a percentage of the revenue, and it's based on the performance and the growth of the business.
Smart. I like that because the incentives are aligned there for every
Yeah.
party.
And
makes
did you
a lot of
make
sense.
more on a earnout? Would you feel, or would you think a buyout you actually make more?
It depends. So my first company was straight cash buyout, and it was nice because then I didn't really have to stick around, and I was maybe only helping with the due diligence and the transfer of all the assets, and maybe just showing them how to do a couple things. But we had all of the SOPs, so standard operating procedures in
Right.
place, so it made it very easy to hand off the business, and basically. Within maybe 2 to 4 weeks, I was basically done with the business and they took it over and didn't have to think about it. So just that mentally, like that little mental, back in the head, hey, like I have to focus on this. It's no longer there. But with the second company, we basically stayed on for 2 years afterwards. And it depends. It can be a good thing or a bad thing. It just depends how it performs over the next 2 years.
Right.
Because if it the bed because they don't have the operations to be able to continue growing the company, you're not going to see as much of an earnout or payout over those next 2 years.
That makes sense. How do you find trending products? Are you going to the Canton Fair and other conferences?
We did go to the Canton Fair, and
Man,
it
she's
was
the second person that went, bro. I still haven't went.
I'm jealous. I want to go. It sounds fun.
Bro, it's big. It's
China's fun. I mean, like there's so many cool things. It's like walking through Alibaba in person.
yeah, like everything is everything. Even the new stuff is like, yo, this is gonna be a hit.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you like, yo, this this is gonna be a hit right
Yeah.
here.
So you found some cool stuff there.
Well, we even saw things before they came to
out.
North America. So it's almost like seeing into the future when you go to Canton Fair.
Yeah.
Because, you know, before the Theragun was big, we saw all of these massage guns and it was like, that would be a really cool product.
Yeah.
And then someone obviously saw it and they ran with it and they brought it over and made it a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, that company blew up.
Yeah.
Theragun.
Theragun blew up.
The hoverboards blew up
Yeah,
from China.
yeah, of course. We ate
Yeah.
off those.
Didn't Dan Fleshman do something with hoverboards?
Yeah.
He brought it over and
Yeah, there's a lot of products. I feel like China just has so many winning products for some reason.
Well, they're forward. They're the innovators.
Yeah.
that's where everything's
Yeah, that's
made.
where
So you go
everything's
straight
cheaper,
to the
right?
source.
Yeah.
You go straight to the source and then you set up shop out there.
Yeah.
Having that streamline, those relationships out there are way more powerful.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about products and selling in retail.
So do you speak Mandarin?
I don't. See, that's one thing I wish that my parents had taught me because it would, you know, be so much more helpful.
Oh yeah, they would fall in love with
to
you because then you're
negotiate.
both best of both
Yeah.
worlds.
So how did you communicate when you went there?
So you speak in English, and most of them actually do speak decent English.
you.
So
Oh,
Yeah, see.
yeah, as long as you speak clearly and slowly and you don't
They'll understand
overcomplicate everything. And usually if you have a spec sheet, if you know exactly what you want, you can communicate pictures. They're very, you know, they want to see the product. You can also bring a translator with you if you want to take it to the next level. Like if you're doing factory tours, sometimes like the owner of the manufacturing plant doesn't speak English, but it's all the salespeople that you're usually talking to and they do
Right.
speak English.
Yeah.
But if you bring a translator with you when you're viewing the facilities, they're going
Yeah.
to take you a little bit more seriously too, because like you're willing to spend money to have a proper conversation with
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Have you ever gone on a factory tour and it was just really weird? Like
I
you didn't
have.
like it?
I've been on not like a really bad factory tour. We've actually been on some really interesting factory tours, but it was more in a group setting. So it wasn't like it was awkward or anything. We
Yeah.
actually went to a packaging facility in China, in Guangzhou, and basically they took us around, showed us the, you know, the printing press and all the machinery, and they actually print for Walmart.
Oh, wow.
So to be able to see like all of Walmart's packaging literally being printed in front of you, like
Yeah.
you know that
That's
they're
sick.
obviously a reliable manufacturer because you're seeing some of the biggest names work
I've
with
seen
them.
some weird ones.
I just asked because of sweatshops
No,
and
I've
stuff.
seen some bad ones, bro. We went into it. We thought it was a warehouse. It was in like an apartment complex. The way they were making the stuff, it was kids running around. I'm like, nah.
This is in the U.S. or China?
Nah, this is China. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
all right, it's not it. I don't want to do business with them. Nah,
Yeah,
I just
definitely.
didn't-
Well, that's a good thing that you went, so you can see like the conditions that
Yeah.
they're working
yeah,
in,
it was just
and choose to work with the partners that obviously don't rely on sweatshops.
yeah.
Well, a lot of the big brands use sweatshops, or is that a myth?
Some of
What
them
do you
do.
think?
I feel like some of them maybe they're not aware, or they are aware and they're kind of just brushing it under
Right.
the carpet because obviously,
Margins.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
But
margins.
China has grown so much. It's kind of hard to find. Well, what we perceive as a sweatshop over there is basically
Legal.
well, it's not. It's actually really nice. Some of those warehouses are really nice, and we will say, "Oh, this is a sweatshop," but bro, everything's efficient.
Yeah.
Most people are happy. There's music playing, like, but it's a ton of people in there working,
Yeah,
getting the task done. Like your being done. Like
Yeah.
it's getting done. The workforce over there is like, to me, amazing.
And you know, Chinese people are some of the hardest working people I know.
yeah.
For sure. I
I'm
get my-
half Chinese,
Yeah.
and you know, my mom's half Chinese, and she's the hardest working person in my life, and she's basically what inspired me to go out there and do better for our family. And she gave us the opportunity by coming all the way from Vietnam, actually, because she's half Viet, half Chinese.
Right.
Yeah.
During the Vietnam War, our family had to leave and came to Canada to seek refuge.
Wow.
So what's next for you? You know, granted, you've had a ton of success doing Amazon. Is your plan to just keep scaling up? Like, is 100 million the next goal?
Yeah.
Over the next 5 years?
Absolutely,
Over the next
yeah.
6 years?
I mean, we're still
Yeah.
very much actively selling on Amazon,
Yeah.
also on our own websites. So we've launched a couple of new brands.
Mhm.
Actually, just launched a new pet brand. I brought you some products so you can give it to your dog
Let's
because
go.
he's the
Oh, okay.
cutest.
I'm all about my dog's health, man. That's a
Yeah.
good niche for you.
Yeah.
Especially like everyone got a pandemic pup. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got two.
I got one too.
Yeah?
yeah,
During the
yoga.
pandemic?
Yeah.
You got lonely?
I didn't get lonely. I wanted to have a kid
Yeah.
at that point, and obviously I didn't have one. I just went on Craigslist and was like, well, go find a dog.
Dogs are pretty much kids. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
How do you do quality control? Because I've heard nightmare stories about this, and at your volume, like one bad order could like be a 6-figure loss.
Yeah,
And
I
she's
mean,
doing skincare too. That QC has to be crazy.
so with skincare, we actually source most of our products and ingredients and work with manufacturers in the US.
Okay.
We don't typically go overseas unless it's for packaging because obviously it's a lot easier to scale. Packaging orders overseas it was cheaper. Now it is a lot more expensive with shipping container prices that have gone up. So we work with both US and overseas suppliers. But with quality control, you always want to do like a pre-delivery inspection with anything you buy. Like it's very similar to when you buy a pre-construction home or you buy a car. You always want to do a pre-delivery inspection to make sure there's nothing wrong with it. So you can actually outsource and hire companies like Kima to do those pre-delivery inspections for you, and they'll send you a full report. It'll literally test, the viscosity, the color, they'll do drop tests. They'll test basically everything that needs to be tested under the sun. And actually, we ran into a really huge problem with one of our shipments, and we had been working with this supplier for years. So obviously, you gain that trust, and you think, oh, like they're gonna take care of me. They're not gonna.
Right.
But unfortunately, there was this one order where the droppers were slightly too long, where when you screwed it into the glass bottle, it like basically was just touching the bottom of the bottle. So when you're shipping it, and Amazon delivery people, they don't care. They're like chucking it, playing frisbee with your packages. And then basically it would shatter the glass dropper. And that was a huge liability, right? So we're getting people calling us, emailing us saying, hey, like this is broken. We want a refund, or we're going to take action, or whatever. So we had to recall all of those bottles that were made in that batch.
So were those refunds or charged?
No, so they were refunds. So anyone, because Amazon deals with all the processing, so they basically do the refunds.
Yeah, Amazon probably was like, all right, cool.
But thankfully we didn't sell too many of those, so they weren't in the stream of commerce. Like as soon as we got our first complaint, we were like, okay, we got to pull this. And I remember we had all these extra droppers that we had ordered, because we ordered like maybe 10,000 of them, and for that specific shipment. So we had thousands of these droppers that we couldn't use. So that's a waste of money. And then I reached out to my manufacturer, and they wouldn't send us new ones. They just sent us new stems. They didn't send like the dropper part of it. So I'm literally sitting in my living room with my fiance, and we're manually replacing all of the pipettes ourselves. So it was a bit of a sweatshop in our living room.
Did you guys get it done?
We got it done, and then we were
So you guys pulled them off with the new one, pulled them off with the new one. How many?
I don't know. I blacked out by like the
That's dedication right there, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough when it comes from China. I mean, you're kind of hoping.
Well, I mean, I think they pretty much do their best, but I mean, it happens. You got to pivot. You got to be an entrepreneur at that point. Like, you got to think like one.
100%.
So what's the next one? You got to get to work.
The most successful people, I think, are the ones that are able to pivot. They're flexible and they're resourceful. Whenever I've talked to people, or when I hire people even, the people that do the best are usually the most resourceful, and they're not going to ask me questions for every single little thing. They're going to go and find the answer. But if, they can't, then they're going to come to me.
Yeah, I love that. Do you see Amazon getting saturated?
I think there's always going to be competition, no matter what niche you're in, what space you sell on, or what marketplace you sell on. That you could sell on your own website, Shopify, but the traffic's not going to be there. You have to pay to send traffic to your own website. With Amazon, they provide the traffic for you. So obviously there is an appeal to that. There's going to be competitors. I specifically sell in the consumable space, so it is filled with a lot more experienced sellers, but I wouldn't say that it's like hyper saturated. Certain products, sure. Like there's products like the garlic press, for example, that's over saturated.
The avocado one.
Yeah, the avocado smasher thing. Like there's so many oversaturated products, but if you can find a way to differentiate your products, market it a little bit different, maybe you have different causes that that your customers are gonna resonate with, for us, we find different ways we can make our products either more potent. We're going to be very competitive with our pricing. So we work with manufacturers that can accommodate that.
Yeah.
And, we're going to provide, since we are cutting out the middleman, we can remain very competitive.
Now, I've heard the margins are slim on e-commerce. Is that true with Amazon products?
Compared to maybe some other industries, I'd say, our average margins were about 30 to 35%.
Okay.
Some products had way higher margins. Some of them even had less. But we were basically banking on
margin.
For Amazon, yeah.
For Amazon, yeah.
Because the Amazon takes a fee too, right?
They do. That's after Amazon takes their fees and everything. So
nice.
30% was our average after our cost of goods, after Amazon fees and shipping costs.
It's pretty good.
Not bad at all.
For Amazon.
One selling volume, obviously, but
her volume, it's good.
35% is not bad at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's $6 million profit off 25, right?
Easy.
Nice. All right. Well,
Quick maths.
It's the Asian in me. What's next for you?
I am diversifying a little bit. So Amazon's great, obviously. It's what I know. So it's hard to get out of this space when that's basically where all of my expertise lies. But I've diversified into real estate. So I bought some rental properties. Most recently, actually opening up a escape room.
Oh.
So I don't know if you guys have ever been to one.
Yes.
In Canada. You guys got to come on visit once we're open.
I do those
For
monthly. Sure. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I love escape rooms.
I feel like entrepreneurs love escape rooms because it's just the problem solving in there,
Okay, escape rooms.
Love it.
So you're going to open up your first, or you plan on opening up a lot of those?
We have exclusivity so we're doing a franchise, which is nice because you're buying the rights to the branding already.
The name.
Exactly. The process is already in place. They actually will build out the games for us. We just have to pay for the construction. So it's basically you pay, X amount of dollars to make the room.
Yeah.
And it cash flows really, really well. So it's just another way to diversify.
Is this Escapology or a different one?
No, it's actually called Trapped.
Okay.
So they're
So it's a
mainly in
horror.
Canada, but they are also expanding to the US.
Nice.
So if you guys want to open one in Vegas, let me know.
Is this the one with live actors?
You can have live actors, but
Okay.
you don't always have to because then it's just another person you have to staff. And some people don't like live actors.
I haven't done an escape room yet.
You would like it.
For real?
You got to think outside the box.
We should go do one later.
Yeah, I might be down after dinner.
After
actually.
dinner, yeah.
All right,
I've done
Wayne, you
escape
got anything?
No, I definitely appreciate you for coming on. Definitely like your drive. I think you guys, more women need that spotlight on them because we need better role models.
Love that. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you.
on, Melissa. Thanks
you
for
for
watching,
having me.
guys. And see you next time. Peace.
Yeah, because there's